Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, welcome back to Sunbreak, and welcome to Update 5 Dual Blades. In Update 4, we had the horrible choice of the very powerful skills of Mail of Hellfire, combined with Hellfire Cloak, or to run the new Dragon conversion, giving you a nice bump to your element damage just straight up by being in a specific scroll. Both were incredible and basically impossible to fit into one build without massive sacrifices. In Update 5, we can get both of them. And it's all enhanced by the incredible new skill, this windy glory that's spiraling around me, Heaven Sent. We're talking infinite stamina and the new best way to maintain your sharpness. Yes, this build has it all. So welcome back to the channel. Let's cover what we're talking about with these new skills. Starting with that awesome one then, Heaven Sent. After not taking damage for a period of time while fighting, you will activate this effect and lose it whenever you're knocked by a monster or stray too far away. As you can see, it nullifies stamina consumption and sharpness consumption at that. And every time you swap scrolls, you actually recover sharpness as well. So by being near the monster, you can see that this effect is taking power. It's working its way into activation, and after roughly 18 seconds, it will activate. And there we go, there it is. Now I have infinite stamina. That is insane when we think about demon mode with the increased speed that it gives us, with the incredible demon mode evade, which is normally really high on the stamina consumption. This is just insane, and obviously it makes it hard for you to get hit. If you have such a good evade, you can blindly spam, no cost or consequence. This is honestly insane. Let alone the sharpness modifier, where you're basically not losing sharpness at all or very little, and then obviously at any time you can scroll swap, and then that will recover the sharpness anyway, so it's just ridiculous. Then we have from Update 4, Dragon Conversion, which at level 3 gives us big element resistances, but then when we go to red scroll, that swaps it to element attack. That is a consistent source of over 30 element when you do that. And to get that activation, it's honestly quite simple. All you need to do is swap to blue scroll, and now you start to generate that elemental defense by attacking. After enough time, we will now see this sort of shield with the 4 colors to represent that you have those resistances, at which point you can convert that into the damage by going to red scroll, and now we have these icons showing damage up, and we've got much more element now because of that. So that's basically how that's played and explained. Let's get into the build and how this is all fitting into one armor set. This is the fire setup, and we'll look at the armor in specific first. We have the Chaotic Helm, the new final boss Amatsu and his chest piece, gloves and boots, and then we have the Scorned Magala, the waist. This is what's going to provide you with all of your critical boost, all of your Heaven Sent, a bit of crit eye, element exploit. We benefit from a bit of dragon attack, wirebug whisperer. We've already got our Mail of Hellfire here, which is really important, and then coalescence to go with that, and strife as well. We're getting these dragon conversion, intrepid heart, and also the wirebug whisperer from other things, which we'll talk about. Speaking of which, we have my boon talisman, which has 2 levels of latent power and 2 levels of dragon conversion with 2 decoration slots at 2 level. Basically, your talisman is going to be the source of your dragon conversion, and you want at least 2 levels on it. This one at 2 levels dragon conversion and 2 decoration slots at level 2 is actually not that good. You should be able to get something like this pretty damn easily. That is thanks to our new curious melding, mainly vigor, where you're putting in a lot of your main resources to get some absolutely outrageous talismans. It's very easy with this new melding to get some absolutely outrageous talismans. As good of a reason it is to grind and work at getting materials and play the game long term, at this stage in the game, I just want to have the good talismans. I think it's a good idea to finally give us basically a way to get those. So again, this boon talisman is just a rarity 8. What you're looking for is 2 levels of dragon conversion and some good slots or higher. Now I have all my decorations actually slotted. We're going to look at my final skill list, which is the full critical eye, of course, fire attack with our fire build. We've now got the 3 weakness exploit, some handicraft to reach purple sharpness, all of our dragon conversion instead of just 2, critical element, Teostra's blessing for extra fire damage, and also of course 1 level of burst. Here is a quick scroll over every piece and what decorations are actually in them, because this is something that's requested when I do these builds for me to show each and every one of them for you guys to look at. Of course, there are still skills here that are missing, and yet I have them, and that is because they're all augmented on my gear, which we will go through. But first, I just need to show you the equipment loadout for each of the types. So that was fire, so now we're going to look at our water. So here is all the decorations for that, just really quickly. You can pause the video, but these are my ice decorations really quickly. There we go. My dragon decorations very quickly. And lastly, very importantly, the Thunder one, because the Thunder set has awkward decoration slots, as always. Okay, so armor augmentation. This is really important, because in this patch, in this version of the update, you can now armor augment some incredible new skills, such as actually being able to augment dragon conversion on an armor piece. For example, I got it on my gloves, which was incredible, and to do that, all I did was regular augmenting. You do not need to do augment skill plus to get dragon conversion on an armor augment. Although of course it will increase the likelihood that you will get it, this just has major knockbacks where it takes off skills you want to keep. So regular augmenting to get these is what I did. My augments in this case, based on the RNG, was to take one of my decoration slots here from a 2 slot to a 4 slot, which was pretty incredible. Give me 1 level of Wirebug Whisper, which was very important. Give me 1 level of the very important Intrepid Heart. Intrepid Heart gives me a sort of shield that prevents me from being knocked back or taking damage in the normal way, which actually is a buffer for Heaven Sent. We have dragon conversion on the augment on the gloves, and finally, for the boots, we got an element exploit level, which is really nice. What should you be aiming for then? You need dragon conversion level 3, and you may need to augment that onto your armor to reach it if you don't get a good enough talisman. You also need crit eye 7 total, but you can get that through a decoration slot on the gear like I did with the waist, or you can get the skill itself, whatever you want to do. Then from then on, you're looking to get your element exploit from level 1 to 3. I managed to get it to 2, and your Wirebug Whisperer from 1 to 3 ideally. Now it's time to talk the weapons of the build and what are your main options for each. For fire, we are back to the Magma Shredders, the Magmadron weapons. This is because their base fire is so high and we can reach such outrageous numbers with this. With just the set on and many of the skills not even active, we're not even in combat, we're not even using demon mode, fire reaches up to 168 with this weapon, which is just ridiculous. Combine that with Ellen Bane when it is working, my god. For water, it's also the Almadron, which is just basically the same reasoning, mega high element, and it remains a top tier pick for that. For water. For dragon, it really depends. There are various lower dragon element weakness fights where that's still the best option. For example, one of our new risen options is exactly that. In that case, I would recommend the Valstrax Dual Blades as always. But we have to acknowledge the Gila Ro Wagga, which have very high dragon element and some great slots at that. If you're ever going to use Ellen Bane against a dragon weak enemy, these are going to be a great pick for that. For ice, we are back to Deora, we're back to Kushalas because the nice high ice option, and you can run Ellen Bane with this of course. And finally for thunder, it's of course yet again the double discharge, the horribly named Nawa Dual Blades. These also have ridiculously high element at the cost of pretty bad slots and low rampage slots, and that's where weapon augmentation comes in. Every weapon except for the Nawa weapon will do this: maximize your element boost at level 8 and then have 1 level of attack boost to maximize the damage you can deal. We care the most about element in this build, and so maxing that out as much as you physically can is the way to go. However, things are slightly different with the Nawa ones because of the rampage slot situation. This is obviously an Ellen Bane weapon with the really high thunder, so we're going to want the 3 slot for the rampage slot to actually be able to use Ellen Bane. Therefore, 4 of our slots are taken up by level 1 rampage slot upgrade. Then the rest just goes into element boost as usual. Now it is time for the fun bit, the math, to explain basically how we've improved from the previous patch, what's changed numerically. Since we're back to them, we'll do the Magmadron Dual Blades as our example using our fire build for this math. These have a raw of 300 and 0% base affinity, and we're getting plus 10 from 1 burst when active and plus 30 from our 1 attack boost augment in our weapon and the 10 augment slots. 300 plus 40 is of course 340. We now have Coalescence at level 1, which is active roughly 80% of the time due to our level 4 Hellfire Cloak in the build, so that will provide us with 12 attack, but we've only got it up 80% of the time, so times 0.8, that is 9.6. 340 plus 9.6 is 349.6. And then we have Purple Sharpness, which is a 39% attack increase, so 349.6 times 1.39 is 485.944. Then we have our Affinity, which is 90%, and we have level 3 crit boost, so that's 40% extra damage 90% of the time. 40 times 0.09 equals 0.36. So 485.944 times 1.36 is 660.944. 0.88384. Let's round that up to 661. Considering we have no attack boost in these builds, it is slightly less raw than the previous patch, which was 719, but that's a sacrifice we're intentionally making to boost our element to ridiculous heights. Let's talk about that. Our base element with these weapons is 64, and then we have 5 fire attack or element attack, so 64 times 1.2 is 76.8. Then we have our fire attack 5, our 8 element boost augment and the 10 augment slots, the level 1 burst, the dragon conversion, bringing us up by 97 elements. So 76.8 plus 97 is 173.8. Next we have a level 1 coalescence, which only gives us 2 element, and it's active 80% of the time, again with a level 4 hellfire cloak. So 2 times 0.8 is 1.6, so 173.8 plus 1.6 is 175.4. And then we have our purple sharpness, that's a 25% increase for element. 175.4 times 1.25 is 219.25. We have 2 levels of element exploit, that's a 12.5% increase, so 219.25 times 1.125 is 246, and then all those decimals. We have Teostra's Blessing, so that's a 10% increase, so 246 and all those decimals times 1.1 is 271 and all those decimals. Again, we have our affinity, 90% of the time with 2 crit elements, so that's an extra 10% element damage 90% of the time. 10 times 0.9 equals 9. So 271 and all those decimals times 1.09 is 295 and all those decimals. If we round that up nicely, it is 296. So our element is 296 up from 198. It's nearly an extra 100 element. That is why we sacrifice the bit of attack power, because we're getting nearly 100 extra element this patch, and this specific build, it can be higher in others. So yeah, the final numbers with this set is the raw attack of 661 and the element of 296. Very important though that we aren't even including things like active combat, demon mode, which will raise these numbers by a massive amount, or our new skill of Heaven Sent, because it's hard to put a number on infinite stamina and the amazing sharpness that you get from that, or Mail of Hellfire, which provides us with raw and element depending on which scroll we're in, so it's hard to put a percent on that. Overall though, what we've done there with that math is kind of put a number that we can best represent and show how the set has progressed. Ultimately, our raw is a bit lower for the insane element increase we're getting. But there you have it, our Update 5 build and overview, the reasoning, the math, and all that good stuff. As always, a huge thank you to Josh for coming up with the build and helping me put this together. I am very pleased with this improvement. The massive element boost here is not to be understated. The convenience and feel of, say, the infinite stamina and the sharpness as that's going with Heaven Sent, it is wonderful. Of course, there's a new Rampage decoration for Dual Blades that helps with stamina, but when we have Heaven Sent, there's just no point to it. If you have enjoyed the video though and found use in it, please do drop a like. These take a lot of work, and that greatly helps us out. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.